Hey, good morning, folks. It's Kenny White here at Bet the Gambit. Good morning to you. And today, another day of baseball, WNBA games. I'm really happy to be here. First day. This is really the first episode of Bet the Gambit. First, like a special thanks to my producer, Alex White, my daughter, the co-host of Sports by the Book at the South Point. You can tune in to see her today at 9 o'clock on YouTube. Sports by the Book, and we'll be making a special announcement about that show as well in a couple weeks. But today, this is something that sports betting's been my passion. I grew up with it. I'll give you these short stories now and then, and I'll try to cut that out. And we'll just get into sports betting. But I know a lot of people are new to me. Been in the industry all my life. My dad moved here in 1968 just to bet sports. He published college football magazines in the 70s, and not for people to read about their team, for people to bet on the games. He talked about the point spread in those magazines. He talked about how good the teams are, and he came up with power ratings, player power ratings. And that's what I'll tell you is we're all here to beat sports. You can't beat sports without power ratings. You really can't. You can watch and guess and have a feel. That's part of winning. But you have to have power ratings as your foundation, and that's the numbers part. That's 80% of the game is the numbers part of this, and that's where I come in. I got the power ratings for you. My sheet that comes out, it's this long with all the information, mainly about the pitching, because that's the main part of baseball. Obviously, starting pitching is probably 60% of the game, almost 70% of the game, and we're going to try to beat it every day. It's a tough sport to beat. Now, obviously, I'm getting started in baseball. My best sports are college football and college basketball. I will have some special plays for you in the FCS because I do specialize in that as well, and I'm a market maker there. Also play minor league baseball, AAA baseball. Well, I got to bring that up. Sorry, and I talk about it. I did give everybody a play yesterday. Durham had a great pitcher going, Jacob Lopez. He did his job, but the offense couldn't hit. You hate to lose a one-run game, and a game that I had a huge difference in. And again, to beat sports, you've got to make your own numbers without being influenced by anybody else. Make that number and then compare to what the betting board is. Normally, the bigger the difference, the better the bet's going to be. The better your work is, the bigger the difference, the better the bet will be. And yesterday, I had a huge difference on that game. Durham, way better team than Nashville. Nashville, the worst hitting team in AAA, and just an awful team all around. They did have a young pitcher coming up, making, I believe, his second start at AAA. A guy that wasn't special, and most pitchers and even position players struggle when they make the jump to the next level. And I say most, I'm going to make that a much higher number. 80% of players struggle. So anyway, let's move on from that. I bet the other small sports. My dad does a lot of work for me. Still, he's 83 years old, and I learned from him. He loves the power rating part of it and rating players out. And I understand why, because I just got done doing the TBT, the basketball tournament, $1 million. And I remember as a kid, my dad used to say, if there was $1 million on this game, the teams, you would get the correct effort and the results if there was that much money, because the teams would be focused. And I love that league because of that. 64 teams, only the winner gets the $1 million. I had huge edges in the league. I'm making teams. First of all, I get the roster, and that's all I have. These guys play over Europe. I rate every player out, and then I come up with a team rating, and then I compare to their opponent. I make the game 18. I go to the betting board, to the screen, and they're -3. I made it 18. They're -3. First score, I'm up 18-2. My team cruises to wins. It was pretty much like that almost all the games. I struggled a little bit with totals early, but straightened those out. But that's the way to win, and that's the way you got to find an edge. I wish that TBT played year-round. Well, let's get into the betting aspect of this. And again, I'm a big proponent, straight better. You have to bet the game straight. I do bet parlays myself. I love round robins. That's what I love. I love round robins. I like to take 5 or 6 teams and round robin those. 5s is usually my go-to number. I know I got 10 2-teamers, 10 3-teamers, 5 4-teamers, and a 5. And I play them at different amounts. So I play more on the 2-teamers and then a little less on the 3s much less on the 4s and the 5s. But I do bet the parlays myself. But believe me, the straight bets, one straight bet will cover my entire round robin when I hit it. So it's probably about 1/10 of maybe my bankroll that I do bet on those round robins. Let's get into Major League Baseball. This is what I'll do every day. Remember, most of you are already subscribers at Kenny White Sports to the power ratings. It's $25 a month. I do all the major sports and 2 college sports for you. So you'll get the NFL, and that's ready to come out. I will have that finished up after this weekend, early next week, Monday or Tuesday. You will get my projections and final scores on every single NFL game for the entire season. You'll get the college football. You'll get the college basketball. You'll get the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball are the sports that I cover with the power ratings. So let me grab a little drink of coffee here, and then we'll get going. I got some Kona coffee going, best coffee, I think, especially since the pods are biodegradable. So good for the environment. Got the elbow up. That's the way my dad taught me how to hit. I guess that's the way I drink my coffee. All right, here we go. National League today, first game, Patrick Corbin against Aaron Nola. You hear all the time, it's Patrick Corbin day because people love to bet against Patrick Corbin. And, my numbers, and again, I have an offensive rating. I'll go over the sheet with you. Time of the game, you know what that is, rotation number, the day, the teams, the pitchers, how that pitcher throws, lefty, righty, the location. And then his basic stats from the year, wins, losses, innings pitched, earned run average, base on ball, strikeouts, whip. And then I throw in there last 3 starts, the opponent's batting average against, last 3 starts, xFIP. So that's one of my favorite stats, xFIP. And it's wasn't meant to kind of replicate ERA, but it does. In my mind, it really is an additional stat that I use. Then OFF is the team's offensive rating. That comes from me. That comes from all of the players in the lineup and their offensive rating versus a righty or a lefty, whatever they're facing that day. So you're looking on the sheet, you'll see I color coded, and the blue, all blue color codes are over. That's high scoring. That's offense. All red is pitching and good pitching and leads towards under. So the more red you see on the sheet in areas, and you can look across the sheet from the end to the front and see which game's got all the red, which game, Seattle and Pittsburgh, Logan Gilbert and Paul Skeens. Why not? 2 of the best young pitchers in baseball. So, yeah, and the blue you would see over. And just looking at a couple of the games, the first 2 games really look like there's more blue in that, obviously, with Patrick Corbin. So my offensive rating is the offensive position players. Their stats, I use many different stats to come up with their player rating, and that's totaled up to get an offensive rating. Defensive rating, the same thing. Starting pitcher rate, that's the rating I gave that pitcher for this game. They get different ratings. It's subjective because I'll go over Patrick Corbin. Looking at his numbers when you scoot down the sheet, when you go past my line, you go past the opener, you see it now says median. And that's the median of the innings pitched, median hits allowed, median earned runs, median walks, median strikeouts, the median GSC2. It's a game score, and they just use that for starting pitchers. And that has been adjusted to the ballpark and the opponent, which I love. Median KW rate. That is every game that pitcher has started and a median of the entire season for that pitcher. So Patrick Corbin, the first pitcher on the sheet, his median game, 5 2/3 or 5.2, 7 hits, 3.5 earned runs he allows, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. That's the game you're going to get from him overall. But we'll move down a little, scoot down a little further down the sheet, and I have HA median innings pitched, HA median hits. That's home and away median for that pitcher. So now we look at Patrick Corbin on the road. I give you Patrick Corbin's road stats, and then Aaron Nola, the home pitcher, in under those numbers, that's his home stats for that game. And again, it's all median numbers. I hate averages. Unless you have a huge set of numbers, medians are a far better way to come up with how a player's performance will be for a game. So on the road, Patrick Corbin, 5.2 basically innings pitched. He does get into the 5th. He usually gets 15 outs, maybe 16. This will help for your player prop betting as well. He allows 7.5 hits on the road, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, still got some command, and 4 strikeouts. So, and then I look after that, his Kenny White home and away rating is away rating 44. Very poor. I jump back to his regular rating for all games is a 62. So he's probably about an 80 at home. That's not bad. A 44 is so hard for me to give a pitcher to. I don't even give AAA guys a 44 when they come up. They got to be at least a 50. Now, on my betting scale, every 3 points is worth a nickel to the betting line. Every 3 points. So I gave him a 65. If I'd have given him a 44, that's 21 points difference divided by 7, or divided by 3, gives you 7 units of 5 cents. That's 35 cents. 21 points is 35 cents in my betting. So I could have made the Phillies 35 cents higher if I would have given Patrick Corbin a 44 rating, but I didn't. So he's a veteran. I know it's Patrick Corbin day. You want to bet against him. The Phillies are starting to hit, so you probably play the Phillies team total over, maybe be the safest bet that you don't have to lay that big price. We looked at the home and away stats. He does give up 4 runs. So I'm going to go back to the beginning where I left off at the starting pitcher rate. I have a bullpen rate. All of those numbers add up to the team points for the game, which gives me a betting line. As I mentioned, every 3 points is 105. So a team that would have 6 more team points would be 110. A team that has 9 more would be 115, and so on. And you'll see penny lines for me. So this first game, I made the Phillies 218 and 8.5. Game open 265 at the Circa, 9 over 20. Total hasn't moved. Side is 273 now on Philadelphia. I made it 218. I adjust my line. So you'll see on my sheet from the team points that an offense minus defense. I want to know the team's offensive ratings minus the starting pitchers, which gives me a plus or minus to adjust the total for that game when I make it. Now, this game had Aaron Nola in it and a weak Washington National offense. So I actually took a half point off my total, which the starting total was 9 in that ballpark. So I made it 8.5. I don't want to go under. I need a little bigger difference than that to go under in a game. I don't have a big edge there, I don't think. And then I start to look at Patrick Corbin, and most of the stats are in blue, and I know it's Patrick Corbin. And then I look at the Phillies, and all of their offensive stats at the end are in blue. So KW, the numbers line is all the numbers. Now you have a streak, STRK. That's the team's streak right now, wins or losses. Going down the sheet, I can see St. Louis Cardinals have lost 4 in a row. I only calculate the streaks and add that into the line when a team hits 3 or more. I don't care if they're on 1 or 2 game streak. That doesn't matter to me. 3 seems to be the magic number where teams can really start to then build a bigger streak. Doesn't happen all the time. Teams get to 3 wins and they lose that next game. But teams get to 3 losses. They can win that next game. But you get a team like the White Sox who lost 21 in a row. I was adjusting almost a full dollar against them and was against them most of that streak because of that adjustment figure. So again, I only adjust 5 cents per win over 3 or 4. So when you go and you look at the St. Louis Cardinals 4-game losing streak, that's 5 times 4, 20 cents. I adjusted it from the Cardinals 103 to the Dodgers 117. We have no line to compare to because there was no pitcher this morning for the Dodgers. I think it's Justin Robleski. I do pronounce a lot of names wrong. I really don't care. I'll try to get them as right as possible. But that's what I use the streaks for. Then in green, it's the KW line. Green for money, cash. We want to get the money by betting these games. So that's why my line is in green. And you can compare my number to the betting line. And again, that's 80% of the equation. Now you have to have a feel for the game. You got to add in, is there revenge here? Is there a streak to be broken? Or is there a sweep for the series? Or is a team trying to avoid a sweep? That's the bigger thing. Team trying to avoid a sweep. You know you're going to get a good effort out of them. So the team that's won 2 in a row, maybe on the road, they go out, party all night the night before. You never know what condition they're in. So I went over the median numbers for the pitchers. Then I've got a season median price. That is the betting price of that pitcher for the entire season. So the top pitcher is Patrick Corbin. He is plus 150 in all games he's pitched. The median total for the season is 9. Then I've got season home and away line. Patrick Corbin is a 154. So he's only been a plus 154 dog on median for the entire year. Flip side, dropping down one line to Aaron Nola. Nola's been a $1.74 favorite against. So that's basically, I'm trying to come up with a price, what that pitcher would be against an average team when you come down to the median number. So Aaron Nola's a $1.74 favorite against an average team at home. And he's not playing an average team today. So that would be adjusted. And for another day, I will go into that, but I adjust that half of the price of the dog, which is 27 cents, add it to the favorite and come with 201. And then I adjust the dog's price because Corbin is a $1.54 against an average team. He's not up against an average team. So that price would be adjusted up to $1.91. Just off what the betting lines have been for the entire year, my line would be $1.96 on the Phillies. That's what the betting line has said, the closing numbers. So again, you don't want to bet bad numbers. So to me, the price is so sky high on the Phillies, just not a good bet. And I'm going over this game like with a fine tooth comb for you, but I want you to be able to do that on all of the games when you get the sheet. It's $25 a month. I don't think I mentioned that, but less than $1 a day, you get every sport. It's not 25 for the Major League Baseball, 25 for the NFL. Whatever sport's going on, you get every single one of them. So that's it for that. Again, season medians for the lines. Then I also do last 5 home and away. That shows a little bit more when you dig in deeper for Patrick Corbin. You can go to the last 5 home and away. He's been a $1.70 on the median in his last 5. Nola, again, same price, $1.74. So that's what he normally is. But if I adjusted those, did my equation from half of the other side to add to the favorite, and then half of the favorite to add on to the dog, I would have 207 should be the price for Washington, and then 209 for the Phillies. I average those two. Comes out 208. That was an easy one for me to do. I know. I can explain that more in the future. And so it gives you the median total. The median total for Aaron Nola at home in his last 5 starts is 8. My number was 8.5. Game's 9/20. But again, I don't want to go under with Patrick Corbin. So it's a game I'm just passing. I know looking at those home and away stats that he gives up 4 runs in 5.2 innings on a median basis, and he has pitched a lot of games. So then at the end, we have offensive stats. I have offensive median for the last 3 games. That's their batting average. I've got offensive on-base percentage last 3 games, and then offensive slugging for the last 3 games. This is a team effort. And you'll see the ones in blue are the ones that have hit well over the last 3 games. I have a speed number, and that really doesn't do a lot. Teams that don't run still score runs. Teams that steal a lot of bases sometimes don't score runs because you have to be able to drive those guys in. I have a weighted runs created plus number. I love that because that's another one of those baseball stats that has been adjusted for ballpark and competition. And most of the competition, it's pretty much even across the board. But playing in Coors Field is a lot different than playing at Petco Park. If you're a hitter in Petco, you're hitting 260 with an OPS of 725. You've got a great year. You're in Colorado, you have those numbers. You have a bad year. And then at the end, I've done something I talked about for a long time. I just added this to the sheet probably before the All-Star break, and that's a do factor. And I see it all the time. And I've had a lot of friends in the industry that follow the do factor because that's what they say baseball is. This guy is due. This pitcher is due. This hitter is due. And what they mean is they haven't pitched well late. Sometimes I worry that they're not right because pitching, we know how many arm injuries there are. And a lot of athletes are so competitive, they try to play through those injuries. When I see 2 or 3 bad starts, I worry there could be something wrong. But the do factor tells you whether that guy's due for a good game or bad game. ERA, last 3 starts, is compared to their overall season ERA, and then a projected do factor ERA is on the sheet. Guys in red are projected to pitch well. Guys in blue are projected to get hit today, give up, earn runs. Paul Skeens is amazing, 2.25 ERA the last three. He's got a 2.25 for the season, so that projects a 2.25 for today. Then I also do an xFIP. I got the xFIP for the season, the xFIP for the last three starts. That gives me a do factor for the xFIP. Then I do the weighted runs created for the offense, and that's the season compared to the last three games. I have a do factor for those offenses, whether they're going to regress or they're going to have a positive. They say regression, but I feel like that's just a positive aggression. And that's basically the sheet in a nutshell. I'll go quickly. A couple games here. Marlins and Mets. Roderick Munoz, Sean Manaea. My number in this game, $1.71 line 220 at the Circa Open. It's still 220. No play for me. I like to have a 25% edge. So on the take back, it's probably $1.80 on the dog. So I only got a 9-cent edge on the dog in this game. It's nowhere near could be a play. The total 8.5, I made it 7. So this is a game I start to look at. How are these guys? How have they pitched? How do they pitch home and away? Roderick, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts in his road starts. Manaea, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6. So basically there's going to be 3 runs after the first 5 innings from what these guys do. Looking at the hitting, though, the hitting's in blue. Last 3 games, both teams, Mets, 137 weighted runs created. So may back off that. And looking at the do factor for Munoz, his pitching, 5.67 ERAs due for today and a 6.32 xFIP. Both teams are due for a little regression offensively, though. But boy, that scares me a little bit when I look at those numbers. And again, the sheet's 80% math. The rest of it's you thinking it out and looking over the numbers to make sure it's a good bet or not. I'm going to pass that game. I'll move down to a game that I want to talk about, just give you information what I look at. White Sox play the Astros today. Gordon Crochet pitching for the White Sox has been an outstanding pitcher all year. He has been tremendous. However, as of late, he has not, and the club knows it. They started to cut him back, and you can go look over his last 5 or 6 starts. He has not faced more than 17 hitters, and that a lot of it was by design. They already said, hey, we're cutting you back. You're throwing too many pitches this year. You'll probably only face 17, 18 hitters. And his last start, he got hit. That doesn't mean he gets hit today, but he's only going 17, 18 hitters, and that's it. So if you want to take a look at that, a left-hander on the mound against the Astros. Astros, pretty good hitting team, 198 offensive. My offensive rating is a 198. Top offensive rating for me today is the Phillies, a 206 versus lefties. And the weakest offensive rating on my sheet today, the White Sox, 160, kind of makes sense. Tigers pretty low at 162, and they're facing Garrett Cole. Looking down at my numbers, try to give you one game that is the biggest difference that probably is a play that I'll jump in on. And you got to factor in weather, too. When you look at the Cub game, Toronto at Chicago today, my numbers have the Blue Jays $1.32, and that's because they're on a 3-game winning streak, and the Cubs are on a 3-game losing streak. So I've added 30 cents to the Blue Jays number. They were minus 102. Now they're 132. I will fade Kyle Hendricks in a day game. I'd rather have Hendricks in a night game because a little tougher on the hitters to see. Lights are amazing, and it is pretty close to daylight, but there's nothing like daylight, and there's nothing like the wind blowing out in Wrigley Field today. It's supposed to be out to right center, which will help these hitters. You got to add a couple runs to that. So I'll add 2 runs and make this game 11, and that would be my adjustment there. But I think the Blue Jays are worth a look. Fading Hendricks in this game, his median stats at home, 4.1 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, not bad. But actually a 4.5 ERA, 1 walk, 3.5 strikeouts. Guy still has good command. Just, he's a soft righty. He throws 86, 87 miles an hour. He's a guy that has never had velocity. So he does know how to pitch, but it's hard to get it by big league hitters, especially with the wind blowing out there today. Now, I talked about the streaks, wins and losses. This is a game that 2 teams are both on a streak of 3 or more, Seattle and Pittsburgh. Seattle has lost 3 in a row. Pittsburgh has lost 10 in a row. When both teams are on a streak of 3 or more, I don't adjust the line. And it's not close. One's only lost 3, the other's lost 10. But to me, I just don't adjust the number. You would think, well, you could take 3 from 10 and have 7 and give Seattle an advantage. But they are not playing well, so I don't want to add anything to their numbers. I made this game. I did make Seattle the favorite, $1.14, a total of 7. There's a little bit of value leaning towards Seattle in that game. So that's, we'll get more in every day. I think I'm just getting started myself. I'm just getting warmed up with the voice. I was out late last night at dinner with good friend CT Betts and his crew. Rex Byers was there. Brett, my wife, Samantha, Brett's CT's wife, and Joe Ranieri from Wager Talk was there. Really fun to talk to him. We played a little blackjack last night. All did very well because it didn't start well, but it did end well for all of us. Been a lot of fun. So had to get home early to get to bed and up early for today. I'm excited about this show, and it's going to be a little different every day. I'm going to have a Run the Gambit section, which will be a fast, hard-hitting information segment from at least 5, maybe 10 people per day around the country. I'll give my voice a break, but it will also, this is an information business. So we'll go to Sam in Boston. We'll go to Greg in Orlando. We'll go to Ronnie in Louisiana. We'll go to Steve in Nashville. And we're going to hit a lot of friends of mine in the industry that bet sports every day for big numbers, that they're professionally betting. They may not be professionally betting, but they bet and they fire and they like information and they know that the game's about that. So we'll run the gambit and we'll run it around the country and we'll get as much information as we can. But again, you want to follow the power ratings, go to Kenny White Sports and KennyWhiteSports.com. Buy the power ratings. It's $25. Or if you want to buy it for the year, give you a month off. It's $275 for 12 months. So the VIP club is also there. I'll talk more about that once we get a bunch of guys on the show, because they will contribute to the VIP club and put their best plays on that club. So first day I've done the show standing. I did it for 5 years sitting in that chair for CBS. And I always wanted to stand up and do the show and move around. And I want to talk futures, and I'm doing a lot of data collecting and writing programs. And I will have future stuff for college football, the NFL, college basketball, and NBA and NHL when those sports start, because I do have all my queries set up to run the season stuff for those. I've been working on the baseball one to get that. That's the hardest one, though, because starting pitchers are such a big part of it. And you got to get those 5 guys in that order, but the order of pitchers changes all the time because of injuries. So let me take a look at the screen real quick. The WNBA game at the NBA today, sponsored by Pete White, one of the best sports handicappers I've ever met in my life. Nobody has more great information than him. He can tell you who the best and who the worst is by the power ratings that he's put together today. It's a play that's probably going to go out in my VIP club. My VIP customers are going to be like, hey, we're paying for that and you're giving it out free. We're just starting, so I'd like to give out my best stuff. Yesterday I gave my best AAA game and it lost 1-0. And again, I think I told you when I was telling you about that, a week prior, I had another game just like that I made Sugarland like $1.80 favorite, and they had El Paso 150 on the road, which I'm shaking my head. If you go look at the standings of the AAA baseball, you'd understand. Sugarland's at home, and they're playing 600 baseball in the second half, and El Paso's at the bottom. No idea how they could have made the favorite, but El Paso won 3-1. Their guy pitched an amazing game, and then again last night beat me 1-0. But more winners than losers when you're doing your work. Just remember this too: when you're following somebody or doing your own work, if you're not close, and you're not going to be close sometimes, because 25% of all games are flukes. But when you're doing your work, you're going to have a lot of close losses. I lose so many totals by a half a run, but that's because I'm on the right side. I just happen to lose with a bad break here and there, and you lose that game. But if you're losing totals that you're betting under 10.5 in AAA or Major League Baseball, you're betting under 9.5, and the scores are 7-5, and it's a high scoring game, you're betting the wrong way. And I mentioned unders, and that'll be a discussion for another day with you, because I know I've kept you long here today. I want to get you this WNBA play. But I'm an underdog and under player for a big reason. And I will explain that why, and I'll break that down for you, because I know the numbers over the last 40 years, and the sports books hate for anybody to know those numbers. Look at the WNBA today. Dallas. We're going to play Dallas plus the 5.5. They're playing Connecticut. Dallas has one of the worst records in the league. Why? They've had 3 really good players that have been banged up most of the season. They are all back now. Rin Howard played a couple of games before the break, so she's definitely back and ready to go. And this is a good basketball team. They still have playoff hopes. I think they're like 3 or 4 games maybe behind Chicago for the last spot. They have 12 games left. Connecticut's good. They're a really good team. They play defense. They got a couple of good, decent scorers, but Dallas, with these players, has a shot to make the playoffs. So I think they have a good shot to win the game, but we're getting 5.5 here. Small bet on the money line with Dallas. And again, it's just another bet. It's not a bet to go out and make a bunch of money on. It is a good bet, though. It's a solid play. I played 3% on it last night. That's 3% of my bankroll. So starting to lose the voice. I'm so excited for this. I want to share, my knowledge and what I do with you every day. And I'm betting the games every day. And I bet them that I don't have to watch one game and sweat it out. I don't do that. I bet my games, and I bet enough of them that, I like to watch and see, because I like to see how the teams are playing. That is part of having a feel. But that's about it. Further ado, again, a special thanks to Alex White, my daughter. She's producing the show. She's probably going, Dad, I got to get at her. I got a show to do. She's going over to the South Point. Catch her at Sports by the Book. Also, great shows there all day long. So Frank Nicotero, comedian, punchlines at noon. So funny man, loves sports, bets it, and he brings on a lot of great guests too. So those are the shows at the South Point. It's been my pleasure, and hopefully I'll have a voice. I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll handicap the Saturday baseball card. And if there's anything in preseason football, I'll give it to you. But again, those games are tough. They're meaningless. They don't count. Nobody cares who wins. But again, going long. Sorry, Alex. We're out of here for Friday. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.